Today, I would like to begin with round 41. The title of today's study is New Cosmology and the ultimate point of the evolution of other creatures. Well, let's continue to mention the last week's contents. Anyway, let alone the aforementioned contents are true, this unimaginably infinite number of years is only a short term in comparison with the infinite time itself. Those who are aware of the concept of the infinite existence, which they learned at a mathematics class during their middle or high school days, can accept this utterance of mine. In other words, even though quite a large number of new creations are made, there is other infinite space and time which can be used in creating other infinite number of universes. In this case, we can think of the following utterance. Any living creature enlarges or spreads and develops itself in the infinite cosmic space and time. This utterance is not mine, but it is from the telepathy communication from the aliens and masters living in the heaven. When we apply this sentence to the humanity of the earth, it is as following. According to the comment of Onek, who wrote a book named From Venus I Came, this book, From Venus I Came, 나는 금성에서 왔다. The human beings of the earth do not have had one or two lives on the earth, but they started their life from the life of the mineral. After a long span of time experiencing the lives of a mineral, for example, the life of the crystal, they began to live a life of the plant. If we want to understand that the plants have the spirits which can think rationally, you have only to read the column concerning the redwood living in the western area of America. And this story is in the book of Telos, Volume 1. Telos, Volume 1. 신비의 지저문명 Telos, The Revelation of New Lemuria. If you read this book, you will find that the level of consciousness of the redwood, which has lived for several thousand years, is higher than the consciousness level of the ordinary people of the earth. At any rate, after experiencing the life of the plant for nearly several hundreds of thousands of years or several millions of years, it begins to have a life of the animals. However, there exists lots of levels or steps in the life of animals. It can begin from the life of the insects and continues to evolve to reach the previous step of the human being, like the gorilla, chimpanzee, and orangutan. It may take several million years for it to go through all of the steps of these animals for the purpose of the evolution itself. And the last step of its course is the human being. And here we can ask the following question. What is the last and ultimate step of the human evolution? Previous of this thought trouble, let's think of the following thing. The people of the present days can think that plants and animals have their spirit or consciousness. For the level of their, here there means the people of the present days, the level of their consciousness has been upgraded considerably, but probably the general people will find lots of difficulty in understanding the fact that such things as mineral has no life. Such things as a mineral which is no life has the spirit. However, as I mentioned this subject in several spots in this lecture, Those who have heard my lecture with care may understand this fact considerably. If I abbreviate all of what I have said up till now, it is as following. All of the things, whether they are alive or dead, can be split into the ultimate step of the nucleus and electrons which move around this nucleus. In the diameter of the circle, which is made by the electrons situated in the most outward place, there is a sort of the energy field. And this energy field is a sort of living consciousness. According to the theory of Mr. Hong Tae-soo, who is the researcher of the Dan practice, this energy is a kind of God. And therefore, in all the things, whether they are alive or dead, there exists a sort of consciousness that is a God. As a result, a stone or a rock is a God, even though the stone or the rock is not a living creature. And a mountain, which is composed of things like rock and soil, is a God. And the mountains, 산맥 in Korean, mountains constituted with lots of mountains is a God too. For example, the Himalayan mountains. Therefore, the former is the God of mountain, and the latter is the God of mountains, 산맥. There exists a God in water, that is, the small size of this type of God is the God of a pond, the God of a lake, and the big size of it is the God of a river and the God of the sea. This God of the sea is usually called Yongwang, in Korean, Yongwang, Dragon King, in the Oriental societies. The abstract area has also its God. For example, in Myeon, there exists the God of Myeon. Likewise, in Gun, the God of Gun, in Do, the God of Do. We can enlarge the size of the area, and therefore, in a country, there exists a God of the country or tribe. There exists the God of the riders, and also there exists the God of the soldiers. Ultimately, we can presume that there exists the God of the earth. And it is said that this God cares for all living creatures of the earth. And so this God is usually called the God is Gaia. Mr. Hong Tae-soo said again that there exists the mind universe, which is duplicated with the third dimensional material universe. And we call this mind universe the God of the universe. As a matter of fact, in the book of Telos, Volume 1, The Revelations of New Lemuria, this book, page 299, it says that when there was a conference of the highest ranked representatives of the inner world of the earth, the goddess Gaia, who is the goddess of the earth, appeared in person, who was changed into a woman. Very surprising fact. It is said that a god of a mountain appears in a suit of white clothes, which is usually used in the activity of meditation, and more often than not, it appears as a god who looks like an old man. Therefore, the activity of the spiritual worship of a new built building with the foot containing a dead pig head is a piece of quite rational activity. And furthermore, spiritual worship in a mountain for worshipping the god of that mountain, like the Ajayla spiritual worship of Mount Halla or Jiri, it means 철쭉제 in Korean, is quite a rational piece of activity. As a result, the activity of the spiritual worship for the ancestors in Korea is quite rational. And when a person calls this sort of activity, because it is an activity of the idol worship, 우상숭배, Korean 우상숭배, idol worship, we can say that he is ignorant of the spiritual world. Anyway, let's consider the ultimate point of the human evolution. In many books published by 은하문명 Company, we can find lots of utterance concerning the origin of the humanity and the universe. Among them, let's consider the origin of the humanity now. When the God of the universe created the human beings of the earth, here I mean the spirit, not the body of the human being, but the spirit of the human being, he did not make all of the people who live on it, but he created them step by step. God created man step by step. First of all, when a person was created, this person created other 12 persons. In the second step, each person of the 12 created another 12 persons. And the number of all the created persons was 144 in all. That is, 12 times 12 is 144. Usually, the first original person is called Shina, and the English name is I am presence. The intermediate person is called the higher self, 고등한 자 in Korean. And the last ultimate person is called the general person, and he is usually called the ego. Here, we can have a question. What is the difference between the person who has experienced all the causes of the evolution, from the stage of mineral, through the causes of plant, animals, and at last to the stage of human beings and other persons who were created by the God of the universe, as we considered above? This problem is similar to the relationship between the evolution theory and the creation one. In the evolution theory, the fish of the sea evolves into the amphibia, and this amphibia evolves into the reptile. Then this reptile evolves into animals or birds. Like this way, the aforementioned evolution process from the mineral to plants to animals and lastly to the human being is almost the same. Consequently, this process can be called just the evolution process too. On the other hand, just like the creation process, the aforementioned process from the I am present to the higher self and lastly to the ego is almost the same too, even though this process is just the opposite one. At this time, what we have to pay attention to is that it takes the tremendous time from the mineral to the last step of the humankind. However, the human being who is born in the theory of the creation, he begins his life on the earth from just a human being, not the mineral or not the fish, but just the human being. Now, let's combine the theory mentioned above and the theory of the evolution of the human beings. The theory mentioned above is that all the creatures of the universe evolve and progress to the direction of the higher and bigger existence in the infinite time and space. Here, we can draw a sort of conclusion which nobody has dared to try to make before. The first step is the last and ultimate step of the archangels in the universe. Here, the angels and archangels, or I am presence, whom I mentioned above, are the existences that the God of the universe created directly. I would like to mention the second and the ultimate step of the end of this article. It is said that the present people of the earth will be enhanced to the fifth dimension in the future. But it is said that the fifth dimension is not the last step, but it is only the first one to the higher steps in the future. In other words, they will continue to be enhanced to the steps of the sixth, seventh, etc. And lastly, they will enter the door of the 12th dimension, which our universe is said to have entered recently. I presume or suppose that the level of this ultimate and last step, which enables an existence to have the power of the omniscience and omnipotence, is the step where such archangels as Michael or Michael, Samuel, Raphael or Uriel stay now. I have an opinion that such existences as Buddha and Jesus Christ or Confucius have reached the steps of seventh, eighth, or ninth dimensions. Now, we can ask a question. Is the unimaginable step on which such an archangel as Michael stays the last and ultimate destination? The answer is no. No. Here, we may as well pay attention to the utterance that all of the things in the universe have no limit in the progress of their evolution. Before we look into this fact, let's consider the fact that when the creation of the universe created the human beings for the first time, he created two kinds of them. When we read the book named Save Your Planet, Mother Mary's Handbook for World Transformation, 성모 메시지, 너희 행성을 구하라. This book, 성모 메시지, published by 은하문명 Company, we can find lots of astonishing facts, among which there is a story concerning the relationship between the humanity and angels. In other words, when the God of the universe created the human beings and angels, he made the angels different from the human beings from the beginning. And he created the angels so that the angels could help and serve the humanity. As a matter of fact, when we read the books concerning the spiritual field, we can understand that as an existence is enhanced to the fifth, sixth, etc. dimensions, the spiritual power gets stronger and stronger. Therefore, the existence must be benevolent and good-minded. And if the existence is evil-minded in the level of angel, the universe is bound to go to the direction of the destruction due to the existence's great power. As a result, the most characteristic trend of the angels is that they are good-minded and benevolent. The greatest difference between the angels and the common human beings is that the angels do not need to have the reincarnation life, and so they receive the indirect experience. The existences who have the same outer shape of the angels are the humanity living on the planets like the earth. Now let's stop mentioning this theme and let's think of the last and ultimate step of the human evolution. Let's consider the ultimate destination of the human evolution as we think about some of the following facts. It seems as if we solved a mathematical equation problem of the high dimension. However, we can do it with a logical deduction. The universe we live in continues to evolve from the new creation through the old universe, and at last it becomes the central universe. Second, not only the universe itself, but all of the creatures in the universe go on spreading themselves and stepping on the higher levels of dimensions. And third, the human beings are classified into two tribes. The first one is the general humanity, and the other one is the angels who help the evolution of the human beings as they stay in the higher dimension than the general humanity. And fourth, the structure of the universe is characteristic of the fractal structure, which repeats its original shape in the course of its enlargement steps. Therefore, the same shape repeats to appear in its evolution courses. And fifth, the human being has the same element or ingredient of the God of the universe. Therefore, considering the facts mentioned up till now, we can reach the following conclusion. That is, the human being has the evolving steps of fifth, sixth, seventh, and finally he or she can reach the last step, which the universe has reached presently. When a person reaches this sort of 11th or 12th dimension, he or she can be called a god rather than a human being, and he will reach the step of the similar level of the God of the universe in the power and ability. In other words, he will reach the step of the ultimate stage of the present Archangel Samuel or Michael. Then is the step of the Archangel the last and ultimate level of the evolution? No, it is not. For, as I mentioned before, any existence in the universe continues to develop or evolve infinitely. Here we can think that when a new creation reaches the step of the old universe, which is composed of not the material component, but only the genuine spirit after repeating the life and death for 7 times, and when this old universe creates a new creation or new universe, this new creation can be made from an archangel or from a person who reaches the step of the archangel. In this case, the person is made up of only the genuine cosmos consciousness, not of the common individual human consciousness. In other words, a new universe, which is the ultimate point of the human development, is created. Here, it is necessary to pay attention to the fact that each universe has its own name, and each universe has its own extraordinary character. We can say that the Nevadon universe or the Michael or Michael universe where we live has a unique and different character. This fact makes me suppose that a human being can become a universe when he has evolved during the infinite era. If a person hears that a human being can become a creation or a God of the universe who has the life expectancy of 311 trillion years and who has the unimaginable size and who has the surprising capability of creating stars and galaxies as well as all of the living creatures, probably that person may say like this: are you sane to say this sort of impossible thing? However, if we want to reach the destination of the genuine truth, it is necessary to discard the preoccupational concept. A human being can become a new creation or a new universe. What a surprising and fantastic fact it is.